Welcome back to the second half of Illuminati with Crip and Tricks. We are so pleased to have you with us on this Tuesday evening. If you missed the first half, we are talking today about the MTRCB and the new directions that it has been taking or will continue to be taking now that we have a new chair on the seat. Who is with us today as our distinguished guest? Please all welcome again, Attorney Tota Villarreal.
Thanks very much, Trix, and thanks again to all our televiewers.
Attorney, we were talking in private during the break. No? Sana,
Yes, we were.
Di ba, we wanted to show sana 3.5 minute video.
Yes.
Yeah.
On about something that will take place on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Where the MTRCB has somehow taken the lead. No? Can you
Yes.
explain this little
Yes.
campaign?
Well, first, it's anchored on gender sensitivity. And gender sensitivity, for me, is anchored on the other to something more fundamental, the dignity of the human person.
Yes.
And of course, there's we like, in Bisaya, we say palangga. We regard as our super palangas the women, and of course, children. And because of this, there is this movement called 1 Billion Rising.
Okay.
Against
1 billion
yes,
rising.
against versus violence against women and children, and it will culminate on Valentine's Day, where it is estimated or hoped that 1 billion women will rise up and say no more to violence against women and children.
Wow.
And well, the part and parcel of the work of the MTRCB is really to make sure that films and television programs, even trailers, even posters of movies, are gender sensitive. That you do not turn
Yes.
women into commodities.
Okay.
And so here, there's a message from our chairperson for gender sensitivity, who happens to be Bobby Andrews, the
Okay.
renowned
Yeah.
actor, the present chair, and our former chair, Ma'am Grace Po, who has been a consistent champion of gender sensitivity.
Yeah. I'm very curious, Attorney Toto, about this gender sensitivity. Well, let's not call it an issue, no? But the topic of gender sensitivity, I'm concerned that some people on the liberal side or the artistic side will say, what are you saying? Will movies now be limited to showing women in their best light, women in
Yes.
circumstances in the best light? I mean, what happens to all the fiction that can be
Especially
depicted?
the more liberal-minded
Yeah,
women.
it's a reality that women do get abused in real life. So part of that will, of course, be manifested and reflected in artistic
Yes,
works
yes,
like
that's
movies.
right.
Otherwise,
Which
you won't
actually
have.
happened to us sometime last year. I represented Manila in the Visayas Biennale, and we were supposed to show a video, an art video that I made, which depicted a lot of violence against women, and we weren't allowed to show it on GNN.
But it was supposed to be as a protest na nga.
Yes, as
Against
a
that.
protest, and still we were not allowed to show it.
Well, the thing there is that ever since even the implementing rules and regulations of the MTRCB allow that you can dwell on certain themes which are serious in character. Of course, to be able, there are certain representations on film or even in television that should strike the heart. If you want, let us say, to people to realize that abuse says against women, I've seen this as a private practitioner of law before, when people, let us say, file cases for that they would want to be separated already from their
RA
spouse.
9262.
Or RA 90. Yeah, you could just imagine, the harrowing experiences of women,
Yes,
their heads being banged on the table, and
Yes,
so on and
of
so
course.
forth. Now, since it's serious matter, certainly showing a lady performing the pandango sa ilaw will be very, very weak in terms of reaching out and convincing us of the gravity of the matter compared to a representation of abuse on film.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Quite obvious. So we just have to be more rational in that regard. And the point is, if the overall theme would say that we do not uphold this, but rather we are showing this so that we may learn that it is something serious, that women are entitled to their dignity, then it can be shown. Again, as you've said, BM Crip, not everything should be shown taking into account the children. So, for instance, if it's really, you can't avoid showing certain a sensitive matter, then there is R16, then there is R18.
Yes. So it's still subject to...
That's right. And you know, it's ironical. I don't know if BM Crip had this funny or ironic experience. In the board, we would want certain works to remain uncut. Of course, they have to be R16 or R18 because really they're beautiful, but certainly not appropriate for one who is watching, let us say, Teletubbies, okay? Or Barney, for instance. So, but you know, sometimes we're surprised. The theater representatives, the movie representatives will tell us, "Sir, no, we will make voluntary deletions because we also have to make money, and therefore we're putting it at PG." That is why they're happy with R16 because there is an opportunity for the so-called director's cut, or if R18 will be the director's cut, then R16 would be the more, let us say, broad-based kind of work.
Personally, I consider the introduction of the R16 classification rating as one of the landmark achievements of the board in the last 2 or 3 years, because it serves quite a demographic, you know. Before that, there was only R13, and then you have R18.
Yes.
What happens
Which
to
is
the
a huge
14,
gap.
15, 16, 17-year-olds?
I remember being really frustrated actually as a 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-old that I couldn't see movies that I felt I was mature enough.
Yes.
This is what the chair was saying kanina, the college kids who can do a paper on something, or even high school kids, no, on something like Black Swan, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
No? But getting back to the gender sensitivity thing, it can't be so much naman na you can't have a character, say, like Fantine in Les Miserables, being shown the way her teeth are being pulled and shorn, ganyan, you know, brutality, you know. But I guess, in a certain way, depending on the scenes, how gory they are, how to rate it for the children.
One magic word that perhaps in our implementing rules that we use is that if the violence is gratuitous, if the sex is gratuitous, if nudity is gratuitous, and just placing it there without no deliberation,
or the rape scene.
Correct.
That's right.
Sometimes it's completely unnecessary to the movie.
Because like for example, we receive material which end up as X because the only scenes are always there inside the bathroom. If there's any variation, it would be in the dining room.
It's so boring. You know, well, I'm sorry. Not all indie films are like so, but some indie films give indie filmmaking a bad name. Excuse me.
That's right. And the thing there is that it's gratuitous because it's so lousy, really. Not that we are amateur film critics, but there is no value in that, and the joke is that the only value there is cleanliness because they're always bathing themselves.
They do it
Shock
in the stream
factor,
or in the and it obviously appeals to to gratuito, prurient interest.
Because kung prurient interest kasi yung US Supreme Court, simple ang mga test dyan eh. I know it when I see it. Huwag na tayong magbulahan. No? Now, thing there is, I think Trix mentioned about something like, okay, if it's you should have your freedom of expression, yes, but at the same time, there's also this guiding principle called the parlor in the pig doctrine. Okay. No, I'm sorry, pig in the parlor. Sorry, pig in the parlor doctrine. And what does that say? If you have a parlor is usually the British like this. Okay, it's an elegant room where good food is served, there's good cigar, etc., etc. Everything is social. And then you place there, enters a pig. Even if you would dress up the pig, and then even put some paintings there, buntings on the pig, it's still a pig. So in other words, media, the information superhighway as it were, okay, belongs to all of us. Lahat tayo. Ang konserbatibo may meron hold dyan sa ano niyan. Ang liberal may hold dyan sa ano niyan. Dapat bigayan tayo dyan. Kung hindi, magbabanggaan tayo like no? Now, therefore, you may curse all you want. You may do all this gratuitous sex that you want, but not in the parlor. Not in our information superhighway.
Not my backyard.
Ganyan yan. Kasi ano yun, preno, kadyut-kadyut lang, as they say, no?
Yeah, environmental situating din no? Yung kung saan nangyayari, no? There's so much more to talk about, Chair.
Yes.
Especially about your current and
Yes.
recent directives and operations. This one is
Yes.
quite interesting. I think
Yes,
our
that's
audience
right.
would like to
Yes.
hear more about this
No,
particular poster. Where do
Okay.
you attach this and what? Okay.
That should be emblazoned in all bus stations and also stations of water vessels. Okay? Yung mga baroto, as they say in the Visayas.
Ships.
And also in buses. If buses have a video device there, a television, it should be somewhere near that's seen by all. So it's a warning to parents that, hey, only G or PG should be shown here, because there will be lots of material there that get their way there, which are superbly violent, and then sometimes there are
Yes, I'm
sex
sure.
scenes. Yes. And in fact, one of our board members was very embarrassed because she was there in a port near in Katiklan, if I'm not mistaken, and they were shown some racy scenes there. Okay, so that's the other thing, that now we consider also other venues. So in other words, like they're saying that all this infrastructure that through Ma'am Grace we have right now, it's now, let us say, the turn of Aaron and Gideon and all of us now to go into the promised land, so to speak, and then bring this to our people. And we did that in Capiz lately in Western Visayas. First, we made the rounds of the movie house, okay, and we showed. Don't you know that our signs of G, P, G, R have to be color coded and have to have a specific font? Why? Because, well, pardon, but it's a reality that some of our people are hardly schooled, most especially in the provinces, in the remote areas. No, my aunt would call them illiterate, which is, I start to figure it out. Illiterate. Okay, so yung now, but if there's color, if there's a recognizable symbol, they would know that I won't let my child get near that particular material. Ganun lang kasimple yan. Okay. So,
Color-coded.
So may ano kami, no? Parang we went into this movie house and saw that they could not even understand the wrong yung font, hindi naiintindihan yung ano. And then, also, what we, in our board, let's say, there's a adjudication or best practices proceeding. We don't just slap you a fine. Sometimes, in fact, we hold that, and then, but we require you to attend a seminar given by our board members, our legal department, all for free. Just name the venue. We'll schedule it to orient everybody because eduke yan eh. So, papalakasin natin ang educ with this particular board, no? And then, nag-team up kami again ni Bobby Andrews. I clambered up some buses, announced my presence, of course, and then they saw a movie star behind me. But with that 5-second shock and awe, after that, he was already pasting this paunawa dun sa mga buses. And then we discovered all the techniques that they have, pirated pala. Eh, siyempre kung pirated, walang tatak ng OMB, walang tatak ng MTRCB. So ang nag-MTRCB ay yung konduktor.
Conductor,
Because OMB materials,
the optical media board.
optical media board materials also go
Yes.
through the MTRCB. That has been an added responsibility of only about 2-3 years ago. But I must say, no, iba yung previewing judgment namin pag OMB. Speaking for myself.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Because OMB, those are tapes that you buy. Presumably for private use, di ba? It's not for public
Yes.
screening.
Yes.
True.
Ano.
Yeah.
So medyo mas liberal yan. You know, if it's a little too racy, if it's going to be shown in a general theater, we might give it an R18.
Yep.
Pero kung OMB, pwede na yan ng R13 or
R16.
R16.
No,
gano'n.
yeah.
Kasi mag-asawa lang kayo manonood eh. Ganyan.
Now, with that, malinaw na parlor nyo lang yan at hindi parlor ng
Exactly.
bayan. Pag pinalabas yan, even if we consider also as other venues, yung may impromptu dyan na art house o ad hoc na palabas, kailangan nagpapaalam rin kayo dyan. No? And with that, we see that, okay, with all this, we have to empower our people. And therefore, I was telling you that we are launching a family summit, no? Come around June or July, where parents, where educators, where the various players in the entertainment industry will be coming. At imbis na mag-away-away tayo, mag-usap tayo.
Correct.
Yan, ganyan, no? During Ma'am Grace's time, we had the Child Summit. Now,
Yes.
where does the child figure? Okay, sa pamilya. At importante yung pamilya. Because, this SPG, there are indicators, the descriptors, may violence dyan, may nudity. Pero, kung ako yung tatay, anong nudity yan? Lahat ba ng nudity? Paano yung nudity? In Sesame Street, there's nudity. Yes, because the child, let's say, will go to the doctor, papakita nakatalikod, in-stethoscope. Bareback siya, no? Or minsan kita pa yung line sa, sa ass, ganyan. So, butt crack, yun, no? Yeah, the butt crack. Ganyan, yung preliminary butt crack. Yung mga ganon. Oh.
Pag humarap na, camel toe na yun. Di ba?
Oo, yan hindi na kasi out of no? Because there are certain people who take fancy on that. Okay, so in other words, even in G, hindi yung natural nudity can find its way even into G.
Yeah.
Yung mga ganon.
Yeah.
So mag-usap tayo kasi hindi naman pwede naman masyadong neurotic naman yung approach.
Yeah.
At the same time, hindi
Yes.
naman pwedeng sobra.
Or this became a classic controversy noon. The nudity in Schindler's List. How can you say that
I
that
know.
appeals to prurient interest if they're all emaciated men and women that are being shown
Correct.
nude being led to the gas chamber? Hindi ka naman ma-excite dyan. Maawa ka nga.
Oo,
Diba?
kasi nga, iba naman yung portrayal doon. And the same is true on the other hand with the Guarani Indians as portrayed in The Mission.
Yeah.
Okay. Oo.
Favorite movie. Yeah.
Oo, yun. So, isipin nyo, di ba? Diba? Yun, di ba? Nagkanyan,
Don't
di
get
ba?
carried away.
Oo. So, it was the struggle of two Jesuits having the two different perspectives on how to deal with the social and moral problem. And the Guarani Indians, ang national costume ng kababaihan, no, ganon, no? Yung walang pantaas, no? So, and yung portrayal ni Roland Joffé doon, talaga, wala ka masasabing gratuitous na parang,
That's the way it is.
oo, ganyan.
That's the
And
way
then
it
they
is,
were singing beautiful classical music. Oo, and may talent pala. Kumbaga, bata pala raw sila, ang default nilang boses nila ay soprano. Oo, yung kabataan. Whether male or female.
The scene I loved there was Jeremy Irons finding himself in the middle of the forest.
Yes.
And then he was surrounded na pala by Indians. He played the flute.
Yes.
Remember yung
Right.
Gabi Sobo? That's a lovely theme
Right.
song. na
So,
yan.
again, context because...
Yun, contextual eh.
Contextual.
Contextual,
Kasi ang ending, my
judgment,
favorite scene on the other hand was Jeremy Irons holding the monstrance and there, he had no other person to go to but our Lord, no?
And he was
Ganyan, no?
shot then.
Then he was shot, no? And then says, at the same time, you cannot fault Robert De Niro because gawa rin ng...
Buccaneer.
Kasi gawa naman ng Diyos ang bala, gawa naman ng Diyos ang barel. Di ba? Yung binigay sa ating grasya yan. Kumbaga, dapat lang tama ang gamit. Yan. So, konteksto.
Elements of the conquista. Di ba?
Yeah.
Conquista.
Oo.
Which means that there is responsible mining eh. But that's another issue.
Right. That's another issue. Yan. So you could see there that at the same time, prudence also helps kasi we're dealing with children. So papaigtingin pa natin yung yung tulong natin sa mga magulang para yung mga magulang hindi passive. Kasi minsan naman kala nila nandiyan yung MTRCB and we will do their work, no, for them.
Maki-stakeholders.
Yes.
Ito chair yung tinatawag yung panonood.
Matalinong panonood. Para sa pamilya,
pamilya.
ni Juan at Juana. Una, hindi lang panonood, but intelligent or deliberate viewing. Na suriin naman natin, hindi yung parang nandyan na yan, ganyan. Yung warning na SPG, hindi ibig sabihin na pag SPG, hindi, pag-usapan yung mga in fact, pwedeng pamamaraan to for the family to get together after watching a television show. Dad can, over the dinner table, ask the son, what did you think about son? Yung sobra ba? Hindi naman masyadong SPG yun, Dad. Pwede na sa PG yun eh. Hindi, Pero yung pagpapakita ng drugs, di ba, ano yan? And so on and so forth. And you're able to draw out, and then the family becomes stronger because
Yes.
indirectly we learn, we lead them to communicate with one another.
Communication is so important. And you can't rely solely on the rating being
Yes.
plastered on the
parang
screen. Like,
robots lang
tell your
ganun.
kids,
Sunod.
kung hindi PG yan, huwag niyong panonoorin, di
Yes,
ba?
that's right. And at the same time, you will be leading also the networks, the television producers, film, etc. Because our norm really is that amorphous phrase called contemporary Filipino values.
Yeah, which changes over time. of
That's
course.
right, no?
It evolves. no?
It evolves, and yet at the same time, there are certain things there which are actually, in the sense that they are always there, they will always be there. Dignity of the human person, the right of a person to an abode, right to communication, and all those things. Pero yung expressions niya na paano sila mag-navigate sa buhay natin, doon nagkakaroon ng pagkakaiba minsan. And so, with that, pag merong nagiging malinaw kung ano yung mabuti, without necessarily parang always showing just like nuns or Shaolin monks praying, etc. May konteksto again. If it is good, then chances are it will also be good for the producers. It will be good also for the networks. Years ago, I recall, maybe Crip is aware of this because he is really an avid reader. There's a Jewish critic in Hollywood in the 90s.
Okay.
May balbas talaga, obvious kasi hindi siya nag-shave pag Friday, di ba? Okay. And yet, ironically, the Catholic, we might say the more conservative Catholics and Protestants were always quoting this guy. Okay. He says that the super box office hit at that time of all time, okay, was The Lion King. Okay. And he's saying that The Lion King is the complete picture. Okay. And then nandiyan yung storya, may adventure, may moral lesson, blah blah blah.
Yes.
And yet, dyan nanggaling actually rin yung sinasabing kapag PG or G, mas malaki ang kita because may merchandising, may kakain ng doon nanggaling yon, no? But using that just as a model or by way of analogy, but not necessarily parang on all fours, we can up also the level ng kasi trick script.
Final words,
Yes.
Chair.
Oo.
I think we've run out of
I'm
time.
sorry.
Final words to
Yes.
the, might as well directed to the Filipino
Yes.
people, the Filipino viewers.
Yes. Siguro, ang mahalaga po, una nagpapasalamat ako kay Trix at kay Crip.
You're very welcome, sir.
At naimbitahan po tayo dito sa napakamalawak nilang programang Illuminati. No? At parang ganyan po ang MTRCB ninyo, Illuminati. Nagbibigay ng ilaw, pero bahala po kayo kung talaga you have the freedom kung magpapadapa kayo. Nais namin pong itaguyod ang matalinong panonood. Naming itaguyod na ma-empower natin, that we empower our parents, we empower our titos and titas, we empower even our yayas to be able to understand the ratings and classification, and so that at the end we will have really outstanding and films, television programs. When I say outstanding, not so much really na parang you would want all of them to be parang award-winning, but they showcase the best in us. They are
Correct.
consistent with
Yes.
contemporary Filipino values. Marami po kami pang plano po sa MTRCB. Makikita nyo po kami, hindi po kami scissors, no? Na may scissors na na may malaking scissor para putulin yung mga pinagagawa ng ating mga malikhaing artista. Subalit po, narito po kami para tulungan po kayo upang mapaganda ang ating industriya.
Salamat,
Yay!
Chairman Dada.
Maraming salamat.
thank you.
Salamat. Siguro every quarter we should invite the chair
Yes, I
here
think
to
that's a great
explain the
idea.
continuing policies of the MTRCB. Thank you again very
Okay,
much.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Dada. And thank you to our viewers for joining us again this Tuesday evening. We hope to catch you again next week. It has been our pleasure being here for you. So we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Trex.
Thanks, Grip.